Once you've listened to this podcast, you'll be doing a few things differently. Today, it's all about the light diet on Zestology. But what is the light diet?
Hi, I'm Tony. I'm an author, presenter at Sky Sports, and years ago I went to the jungle and got ill. Very ill. So this is my podcast adventure to find more energy. It's packed with biohacking, science, health tech, supplements, and some of the most well-known experts on the planet.
This is something I spent 4 months of my life doing with electrodes glued to my head so that you can do a lifetime worth of meditation.
Decide what you don't give a fuck about, which is something you don't care about.
Some of it gets quite out there.
I had some stem cells sent up to my house that I had stored, and then I injected myself with mannitol.
And we even hack hangovers.
Alcohol is poisonous. So is water and oxygen in the wrong dosage.
So that's my podcast, Zestology. Live life with energy, vitality, and motivation.
Hello and welcome back to Zestology. I'm Tony and I hope you're having a good week. It's the depths of deep dark winter here in the UK, and I know that most people who listen to this podcast are in the northern hemisphere, so are going through the same thing. I was very jealous of Rudy Nassif, who I speak to on today's podcast, because he was in Mexico. And actually, if you have a look at TonyWrighton.com, you'll see the picture of him and where he is, the sort of screen grab that I've taken from the Zoom call. The light is just very different from a sort of very dank grey that we've got here in London at the moment. I'm not complaining, but it's just different. And actually, Rudy helped me to feel a lot better about the dank grey in London. And once you listen to this podcast, you'll be getting outside earlier in the day, spending more time outside. You'll feel better about the gloom of winter where you are right now, and you'll be doing all sorts of other things with light. That is the topic of today's podcast. It is bang on topic for Zestology as well. I thought I knew how important light was to our hormones and to our circadian rhythm and more, but I was inspired and learnt so much in this podcast. So let's get straight on to Rudy Nassif. He is the founder and head of research and development at VivaRays, an innovative firm with glasses transforming the way in which people work, sleep and live. And I've got a set of VivaRays here and they're great and I use them throughout the day. Drawing on his own experiences and background in engineering, Rudy has designed something pretty cool with VivaRays. And he's going to tell you about it today. And we're going to talk about the light diet. So here he is, Rudy Nassif on Zestology. Right, we have Rudy with us. Rudy, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. What about you?
I'm great, but not as good as you in Mexico. And, you know, like actually this podcast is all about the light and the light where you are. I know people are listening to this rather than watching it, but I can just tell there's some good light there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. The lighting in Mexico is awesome right now and the weather is great. So I'm really taking a lot of benefit from that.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to talk to you about the light diet. And I think most people who listen to this podcast live in the northern hemisphere where it's winter at the moment. And the light, I mean, you might be able to, I'm going to take a screen grab for the show notes and for my website of us. You're looking wonderfully relaxed in the sun with a sort of stone backdrop. I am in a murky grey London background with a sort of grey skies out there. It's almost dark. I've got a kind of crap light above me. I mean, it's just not the light is not the same. And this is I've sort of constantly tried. We recently went on holiday and we went to Cyprus and the light was just so good there. And I think it did me so much good. So how do we get around not having good light in winter?
Well, the law of rhythm, which is a natural law of the universe, states that the night will follow the day and the seasons will change. So there's no way around that. But the only difference is that I live right now closer to the equator, whereas you live at a higher latitude. Now, I lived in Canada for so long, and I still do. Now, I moved to Mexico recently, but I love the winter. And I think one of the great ways to overcome the winter blues is to tap into temperature, because light is the primarily force that regulates our circadian rhythms, our mood, our digestion, our ability to be productive, and so on. Now, think about our ancestors who lived up northern European and whatnot. When winter comes, their circadian clock switch into taking information from temperature rather than light. So cold exposure in that case is something wonderful to tap into, because it will start regulating your rhythm, so much so that your cortisol and melatonin, and cortisol is the hormone that is released in the morning in a healthy pulse, so that you become alert, focused, and energized. The cold could activate that in you and reset your melatonin as well, so that your melatonin is released at the right time at night when the sun is absent.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, get colder in winter, basically. Or get on a flight to Mexico.
That's another way.
Yeah. Night follows day unless you fly to Mexico, and then day follows day. It's brilliant. But no, I'm not jealous at all of you being in Mexico, but I am so powerfully aware of how light affects me, and I've been very excited to chat to you because obviously you've got a personal interest in it and a lot of expertise in it. Tell people a little bit about what you do and your background.
Well, I often get asked, how did I get into this? And my answer is, my story really started when I was a kid. And being diagnosed with ADHD, I suffered from headaches, agitation, and inability to focus. And growing up, I turned into a night owl. And I often stayed up very late at night, feeling wired and stimulated, only to lack the energy, focus, and motivation the following day. And eventually, day after day, this led me to chronic fatigue, deep depression, and disorientation. And to be honest, Tony, it was sabotaging my professional life, my aspirations, and my relationships with my loved ones. So I technically was very desperate to feel better. And the problem is that as I kept going from one doctor to another, I felt very overwhelmed and tired with all the different health opinions. And I tried so many different diets, taking supplements, meditation, and different exercising techniques. And while all of this positively impacted my life, unfortunately, I was still stuck with feeling so wired at night and so tired and exhausted in the morning. And I also really refused to take any prescription medication, thankfully. Now, miraculously, one specific event changed all of that. I spent several weeks on a rural farm camping, and I was exposed only to natural light during the day and fire and candlelight during the evening.
Oh, wow. Sounds amazing.
Totally. And guess what? Within a matter of days, I start winding down in the evening, feeling mellow, relaxed, and going to sleep shortly after the sunset, to then wake up before the sunrise for the first time in my life, feeling rested, refreshed, and energized. I literally went from feeling foggy-headed and depressed to feeling super clear, energized, and motivated. I mean, how did that magic happen, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this didn't last long, because the moment I came back to the city, I fell back into my old terrible routine of staying up late and waking up feeling tired. And at this point, I was really contemplating whether it was my light environment that was causing all of this. And this question led me to a 7-year journey where I was deeply studying quantum biology, light, and circadian rhythm. And I was consulting the world's leading expert in this field. And what I learned is that we are light beings, and that physical reality itself is light that is vibrating at a lower speed. And this means that not only light that shapes our life and our well-being, but it is the nucleus of life itself. And in a nutshell, the quality of light that we expose ourselves to will determine the quality of our sleep, productivity, focus, mood, and well-being. But the problem is that in our modern world, most of us are being bombarded by artificial lights from devices and from LED bulbs. Yeah. And this light is everywhere, in the kitchen, in the bathroom, on the streets, in the malls. And we're not getting exposed to natural lighting as well.
But I think like we've known this for a long time, but because smartphones are getting so big and computers and iPads as well, that's almost the biggest problem now, isn't it? Last thing at night, you look at your bright screen, you haven't got night lights switched on, you haven't got blue blockers on, you haven't thought about the lights in your room, but mainly it's on your device.
Well, yeah, totally. And I think one of the biggest problems we're facing as a society, that our days are getting much dimmer because we're spending time indoors rather than outdoors, and our nights are much brighter. And the problem is not only because of phones and devices, it's from our bulbs as well. LED bulbs are everywhere, in the malls, down in the street, in the airports, everywhere you go, you're bombarded by all these bulbs, and they emit literally the same frequency that your phone emits, which has a color temperature of 6,000 kelvins. Now, what does that mean? It means that this color temperature is similar to sunlight's color temperature at 12 noon. And when we are chronically exposed to it all day long, we are confusing our brain and our body into thinking it's 12 noon summertime all year long, and that it's supposed to be doing one thing rather than the multitude of self-healing functions that nature has programmed us to do across the 24-hour cycle.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I'm so on board with all this stuff, and I sort of know that it's relevant to me as well. And I also think, just on a very physical level, I've noticed the more time I spend in front of a computer, the more my eyes aren't very good. They just don't work as well. And the less time I spend in front, when I go to Cyprus for 10 days and I make a conscious decision to do a bit of sun gazing with my eyes closed, but sort of the Bates method type sun gazing. And I think that makes a huge difference. So I think it's physical, and it's also the sort of unseen effects on your circadian rhythm as well. Harder when you're in a grey, sludgy November day like we are here in London at the moment, but not impossible.
Totally, it is. And to be honest with you, my winter days in Canada, I've always been tanned. And people are like, wow, how are you tanned? Like, because every time the sun is out, I'm outside getting sunlight. And when we start paying attention and, relying on the energy from sunlight, things change, because sunlight is less available in the winter, but it's still there. And even when we go outside during a gloomy day, the brightness outside is at least 10 times more brighter than what's inside. And with that being said, and I've measured this several times with the spectrocolorimeter, and anytime anyone listening could easily measure that through an app called spectrocolorimeter. I have a more professional version because we use it for
I've got
our
the
lenses.
app, I think. Yeah, great. You just point it and it tells you the quality of the light.
Totally. And if you run a test, you will see that the brighter indoor environment is 10 times at least less brighter than the gloomy day outside in London.
Wow, that's such a good reminder. I'm glad you've said that, because here am I being all doom and gloom about, oh yeah, it's dreadful, we're in winter and everything, and you're saying actually get out there anyway, it's better than being indoors.
Yeah, and the only difference between being in Mexico right now and in the UK is, well, when we first wake up in the morning, we have light sensors in our eyes that sends a signal to the clock in the brain. And this clock is literally what control all of our biological processes, from our energy level to our sexuality, to our ability to digest well, to our ability to sleep well, okay? Now, these light sensors in the morning, they are waiting on a lot of bright light to get activated and send this signal to the central clock. The problem is that people wake up and they stay indoors in a very dim environment, and Melanopsin, these light sensors, don't get activated until later in the day, so they start feeling fatigued. Now, the only difference between you, Tony, and me, that right now I could go outside in the morning and I probably need 10 minutes of bright sunlight for my melanopsin, the light sensors, to activate properly and activate all the processes that I need in order to feel productive, happy, and creative during the day. Whereas for you, if it's a gloomy day, you'll probably need 30 minutes or a little bit more. That's the only difference, because we have a system in our eyes that sums photons. And that means that the number of photons that we take over time are added. So the only difference is you need to spend more time outdoors. That's all.
Do you think that sometimes in the room I'm in at the moment, actually, we've got an infrared light, a Juve light, and it's very, very bright. And to be honest, I wake up at the moment, it's still dark outside, and I will meditate in front of that for 10 minutes. And when you switch on in the morning, it is like, it's like the brightest light ever. Do you think that's good in terms of waking up that system that you were talking about? Does that work in the same sort of way?
Yeah, definitely not. Anytime you wake up in the morning, there are three things that reset your circadian rhythm. The level of brightness, which you need 100,000 lux plus to activate that system.
So that would work.
I'm sorry?
That would work for that. Like an infrared light would be good for that.
Well, you would want to spend around 2 hours in front of a Juve to get 100,000 lux.
So you're still better outside?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
It is better outside.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, melanopsin ganglion cells, these light sensors in the eye, they're most active. They get activated mostly by the frequency of blue at 480 nanometer.
Right.
And this frequency is not present in the Juve. And we have also neurons in the eye called neuropsin. And those neurons get activated from UVA, from sunlight.
Yeah.
And all of these frequencies of light are not present in the Juve. So being outside will ensure that we're getting that brightness that we need, even on a gloomy day, that we're getting the 480 nanometer blue light frequency, which is essential to activating our central clock, and that we're getting the UVA as well. And it's this same frequency that gets problematic at night. Because think about it, what happens in our modern world is like people are exposed to a lot of bright light at night that is blue. And this blue and green light at night is activating those light sensors at the wrong time of the day. And when this happens, the brain gets confused thinking it's daytime. It suppresses melatonin production, the highest antioxidant in nature, and a hormone that is fundamentally important in repair and rejuvenation at night. And it also suppresses our growth hormone at night. And this means that technically we lose our ability to lose fat at night.
Wow. All this is absolutely brilliant. And it is genuinely making me think we're getting towards the end of the day here, but it's a great reminders. And tomorrow I'm going to relish spending more time outside. So thank you for that. Just interrupting this podcast for one moment to bring you a holiday season special offer from today's podcast partner, because it is definitely holiday season in the US. And in the UK, it's not holiday season, but we're getting well into Black Friday. I know that for certain. And the best gifts are definitely personal. There's nothing more personal than the gift of good health. So a special Black Friday deal for you today on Zestology, and it's a good one. Whether your loved one runs, bikes, hikes, plays sports, or simply wants to improve their wellness, Inside Tracker is the most personalised way to make sure their body stays in it for the long haul. And Inside Tracker are offering for Black Friday something very special. You can save $200 on the Ultimate Plan and free Inner Age, which is totally cool. You've got to check it out. It's the most comprehensive way to get personalised insights into your body's well-being, or your loved one's body's well-being. So the Ultimate Plan and free Inner Age, you get $200 off if you go to insidetracker.com/Zestology. That is a Black Friday deal that only lasts for a few more days. You get 25% off site-wide on the same link, insidetracker.com/Zestology. And the thing is, no two people achieve optimal health the same way. And that's why tracking is really important. And that's why personalized insights are really important as well. And you might well have heard me banging on about Inside Tracker fairly recently on Zestology. Well, now may be the time to take action, because you got the Black Friday deal. $200 off on the Ultimate Plan and free Inner Age. Plus, you get 25% off right across the site. So it's I've just hit my table. I'm so excited about what's going on. I don't know if you could hear that or not. InsideTracker.com/Zestology to give the gift of personalized health on this holiday season. Now, back to the show. And I want to talk now about VivaRays, and I'm wearing them at the moment. And I think, it's one of the things I was talking about is that, in front of computer screens, my eyes get worse. They're not as good as they used to. I used to pride myself on having great eyes, Rudy, and they're just not as good as they used to be. And I think it hits a lot of people in their 40s, and I'm comfortable with that. And yet I want to sort of, protect them as much as possible. It's a good bit of kit. Congratulations on it.
Totally. Yeah.
They're really great. So talk us through what they do and the thinking behind them.
Totally. And before we dive in, because in our VivaRays, one of our biggest aspiration and mission is really to elevate humans' consciousness about the importance of light and to help them really understand all the tips and strategies that they can do today, easy steps that they can take today in order to literally elevate their light environment to a whole new level so that they can fully master their sleep, have more energy and focus, and become more productive. And for this, I want to invite the audience to check out the guide that we have free on our website. It's called Light, the Key to Mastering Your Sleep and Energy. And we condensed all these beautiful tips into a guide that will provide them with an amazing understanding about light and how we operate around light, and some of the greatest tips and strategies that they can implement today in order to start feeling a fundamental change in their health, well-being, and energy levels. Yeah. So now we could start talking about the Viva Ray system, which is very, very different than any system that is present right now in the market. And the reason I say this is because I went through a journey of buying so many different blue blockers and feeling the frustration, recognizing that why is it not working? Because back to my story, when I came back to the city and I start feeling again, falling back into my old terrible routine, and I start wondering about light, I went through this whole journey of studying light. I realized that I needed to take control over my light environment in the city where I live, and that I cannot just go and live in a cave, right? So at that point, I was desperately looking for solution, and I discovered blue blocking glasses. So I went on and I tried so many different pairs in the market. And to be honest, I didn't feel the benefits that I experienced on the farm. Nothing close to the abundance of energy and flow and creativity that I lived over there. So I was deeply researching and consulting world's leading experts in circadian rhythm. And what I understood from them is the reason why so many of the blue blocking glasses in the market are inefficient, because they block blue light in the same way all day. And the way they are designed to block blue light is often not engineered based on the light in nature that is continuously changing from sunrise to solar noon to sunset. And I learned that in order to create an efficient system, we needed first to study the different color temperatures of sunlight throughout the day and try to mimic this. So we came up with a 3-lens circadian technology system that is designed to block different amounts of artificial light depending on the time of the day. So I'm going to start with the daytime one, which you're wearing right now.
Yeah.
And those actually are designed to be worn indoors only during the day when you're exposed to a lot of artificial light that is dominating the natural lighting.
Right. So you wouldn't wear these outside. I've got a walking meeting. We decided to do all our week meetings as walking meetings in our company, which is great. It means you just get out so much more. But I wouldn't, and I've got one of those in about 15 minutes time. I wouldn't wear these for a walking meeting, even though it's dark outside now.
Oh, when it's, that's the thing. I said those are for the daytime.
The daytime, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
You never want to wear them outside during the day because you never want to block the frequencies of sunlight.
Right.
Because every frequency literally has its own function and activates different enzymes, different hormones, different neurotransmitters.
Yeah, good.
And again, I talk a lot more about this in the book, but for now, just so we keep it straightforward, you never would want to block the sunlight putting anything. And even when you're behind windows, you would want to open the windows so you're not getting a deficient frequency of sunlight through the window.
Yeah. So so that's until it sort of gets dark, and then what?
So technically, as soon as the sun sets, that's a very important time to be outdoors, because the information during the sunset, whether you're witnessing it directly or indirectly, or whether it's cloudy or not, is gonna send information into your brain and therefore to your body, letting it know that it's time to wind down and to prepare for sleep. So anytime you come back from that journey and it's starting to get dark and you turn on the lights indoors, what you're basically doing, you're confusing your brain again into thinking that it's daytime. So you would want something, a technology that filter out these harmful frequencies that are confusing to our bodies and brains. So we came up with an evening technology, which you could seamlessly clip onto your daytime frame without needing to change frames. And this technology is engineered to mimic the color temperature of twilight or the bonfire.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, have you spent time around bonfires?
Oh, I love bonfires, yeah.
And how do you usually feel when you're around a bonfire?
I feel like I'm a caveman just about to go and hunt my dinner.
Totally. And do you often feel this sense of calm and relaxation when you're around the fire?
Oh yeah. And actually, like here, it's in our house, being slightly strange, being a bit like you, Rudy. I bought some high grade sort of theatre lighting gels online, and in red and amber, and I've put them over, not this light that I'm above now, but in the kitchen we've got red lights. So nice. And it's amazing because you can have the bright lights on and then switch it onto the red lights, which is a different switch, and it's great. It's so nice in the evening. I mean, that's the difference.
Beautiful. Yeah, so technically these glasses are literally designed to mimic the color temperature of the fire, which is at 1900 kelvins. And for thousands of years, our brain is biologically wired to respond to the twilight color temperature by inducing relaxation and by leading us to wind down. So those are the evening glasses. Yeah. And they're great because you could still run your evening activities, cook, drive, socialize without feeling too sleepy. Now, the last phase of the glasses is the nighttime one. And those are designed to be worn about 1 hour before bedtime. Yeah. And these guys are designed to block all of the blue, all of the green as well, because green light has been shown to suppress melatonin as well. And they're also designed to decrease the brightness by 20 times, because the latest circadian research has shown that bright light of any color could also negatively influence our sleep and circadian rhythm and cause us to shift so much so that we would want to wake up later the second day.
I didn't know that.
Much less energized.
I thought as long as it was red light or blue blocked light, it was okay.
Well, technically not. So your Juve is not okay at night, for instance.
No, but if you were to look at sort of a very bright light, but it was totally red, that's not okay.
That's not okay because bright. The thing is, I talked about our Melanopsin ganglion cells. Okay. Yeah. So retinal sensitivity, the sensitivity of our eyes is very low in the morning. And this means that when we wake up, we want a lot of bright light for these guys to activate. Now, the longer you've been awake, by the end of the day, this sensitivity becomes very high. Now, what does that mean? It means that like the slight light amount of light could activate those Melanopsin ganglion cells in the wrong way. Now, this is not to say that blue and green light wouldn't activate it more than red. It would. Yeah. But also pay attention that you want to also decrease brightness. And this is why these guys decreased brightness by 20 times.
Yeah, they're cool as well. They're nice looking glasses. I congratulate you on a great product, and yeah, I think it's really, really cool. So look, I'm aware we haven't got too much time left. I want to ask you, what is one book that's had a big impact on you, and what is one tip that you would have for more energy? And I wonder if it relates to light in some way.
Well, definitely. Since we're talking about light today, I'm going to recommend a book about light. Well, there are so many different books that help me to put the pieces together. But I guess I'm going to recommend the very first one that I read. It's by Dr. Jacob Liberman, Light is the Medicine of the Future. It's a phenomenal book that has helped me understand light as medicine and the holistic approach of the full spectrum, because often as humans, we tend to be reductionists. We tend to think that one part of spectrum is good, but the other part is bad. And this oftentimes, I see it in the blue blocking, circles, people thinking that blue light is bad, whereas blue light is actually wonderful. And it's actually neither good or bad. It's relative, just like anything else in nature. And its effect on us will really depend on the time of the day that we're exposing ourselves to it. Because blue light is rich during the day. It means that we want that blue light during the day. Blue light is absent at night. It means that we gotta block it completely at night. Now, what's one tip that I recommend for elevating energy? I'm actually going to be generous and abundant and recommend two. The number one tip.
So you say generous, I say cheeky. No, go for it.
So technically, I'm gonna recommend two. The first minute you wake up, okay, go outside and get bright, natural light in your eyes. And the second big tip, as soon as the sun sets, make sure that you're dimming the lights and that you're blocking the wrong artificial junk frequencies that will confuse your brain. Because these two tips alone will literally reset your wake and sleeping cycle, leading you to feeling much more productive and energetic during the day and much more relaxed and calm at night.
Great. Rudy, look, thanks so much for coming on Zestology. I was very much looking forward to it, and I've got a whole list of things I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to search out that book as well. I read James Nestor's Breath a few months ago, which had a massive impact on me. And I haven't read a book specifically on light. So if you say that's the go-to book, I'll go and have a look at that. Also, your book sounds brilliant as well. Where can people find out more about you, VivaRays, and everything else?
Yeah, so for VivaRays and for checking out our glasses, they can go to www.VivaRays.com. And on this website, they could also access the free book, Light, the Key to Mastering Your Sleep and Energy. We also share a lot of our educational material on Instagram at VivaRays. And if anyone has specific questions about light, about circadian rhythm, about quantum biology, feel free to reach out to me personally at Roudy, Roudy at VivaRays.com. And I'm happy to answer your questions.
Rudy, you legend. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. I will be cycling through the various different shades of VivaRays this evening, and have a great time over there in Mexico. And we will hopefully speak again soon. Good luck with the business as well.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me on, and I appreciate you.
Oh, thanks very much. Likewise.
That's it for Zestology today. Thank you to Rudy. I hope that's inspired you to be outside. And really, since I recorded this podcast, I have been spending more time outside earlier in the day and just prioritizing getting as much light into my pie holes as possible. Pie holes, I'm not sure if that's something, if you're an American listener, you'd understand. I'm not sure I even understand it myself, but I think it's another terminology for eyes. This podcast is brought to you, this show is brought to you by our podcast partner today, Inside Tracker, a fantastic resource, especially if you consider yourself to be a biohacker. And we've got a brilliant discount, actually, 25% off for you if you go to insidetracker.com/zestology. It is for you if you want to do some detailed health testing, if you want to add more years to your life and more life to your years. Founded in 2009 by leading scientists. And what they look at is aging, genetics, biometrics. They use a patented algorithm. They analyze your body's data to provide you with a picture of where you are, what's going on inside your body, and then you get science-based recommendations for how to improve it. In other words, biohacking. Energy, vitality, and motivation. That's what we do on this podcast. And Zestology listeners, you will save 25% when you sign up. So huge discount. And over the years, I've had quite a few podcast partners, but I don't think any of them have given away a discount as much as 25%. So insidetracker.com/zestology. Let me know how you get on. Good luck with hacking with Inside Tracker. Good luck with hacking your week with the light diet as well. And I'll see you next week.